A bit of a philosophical mood this morning. I talk a lot about how yoga changed my life, saved my life probably, really. I'd always had an interest in yoga, but never really taken it seriously past going to the occasional yoga class or following some videos at home when I fancied it. And a few years ago, so it was 2.5 years ago, June the 10th, 2023, I decided to stop drinking again on a bit of a whim, really. I woke up the morning after I decided to stop drinking and thought, I want to do something this morning, what shall I do? And so I, in my bedroom, put the telly on, put YouTube on, and just found a random Yoga with Adriene video and did 20 minutes of yoga down by the side of the bed on the floor, and came out of that thinking, this was brilliant. I feel my brain is quiet, I feel calm. There was a sense of achievement because accidentally I'd picked something that was quite energetic and I hadn't struggled with it at all. And I thought, let's do this. I saw that she did a 30-day yoga series and I thought, here's my challenge. I will stop drinking and smoking for 30 days and I will do a 30-day yoga challenge. And so I got my journal. I think I might have bought a new journal for this. And I wrote myself out a habit tracker with my beautiful pretty pens and the whole thing, and I just decided that this was what I was going to do. And thank goodness, because for whatever reason it stuck in my brain, it spoke to my brain, spoke to my body, and I did 30 days of yoga and then I carried on. And so in the month following that, in the July of that year, we went on a little UK caravan holiday and I carried on doing daily yoga on holiday. I carried on with my bullet journaling. So I became obsessed with ticking off every day. Didn't drink, didn't smoke, drank 2 litres of water, did my yoga. It just became a little obsession for me. And I remember it very clearly while I was on this holiday looking up yoga. Not just what is yoga exercise, but what does it mean to live a yogic lifestyle? And I came across the Yamas and Niyamas, which for those that don't know are kind of the 10 guiding principles, behaviours and actions. And I thought, this is something that resonates with me. I can start living my life more aligned with these kind of principles. So I started doing that. But the idea of embodying non-harming, not lying, cleanliness, not hoarding, not holding on to things that are unnecessary, contentment, that's a big one. And it just kind of opened up my life in a way that nothing before had ever gripped me. I then branched out into looking for slightly more energetic forms of yoga on the videos. Yoga with Adriene, absolutely fantastic, but quite soft and quite gentle. So then I started looking at other creators on YouTube. And very quickly after that, I found a local teacher who became a dear friend, Sylvia, and I fell in love with her style of teaching very quickly. And then randomly one Wednesday evening, she cancelled her class for whatever reason, but she messaged me and said, you should go to Aid's classes in town. He's got a class on tonight, same time my class would have been. It's rocket yoga. You're going to really enjoy this. And I went to Aid's rocket class, absolutely fell in love with rocket as a concept. Around the same time as this, purely because I wanted to learn more about yoga as a whole practice, I just decided to sign up for a 200-hour teaching qualification, as you do. And I did an online one. I did it through Yoga Renew, it was absolutely fantastic, to be quite honest with you. Did I lose out on it not being an in-person qualification? Absolutely. Do I think people should teach without having in-person qualifications? No, I do not. And I'll come on to that a little bit more later. But as a foundation in the knowledge needed, it was really, really thorough and absolutely brilliant. And I highly recommend it if you're looking for a low-cost way of learning more about yoga. It won't necessarily equip you to teach in a lot of ways that it should. It will technically give you a 200-hour qualification, but the breadth and the wealth of knowledge that they have to offer is great. Cannot fault it. I then, not long after I got my 200-hour qualification, and I did start teaching. I'd had no intention of teaching, but I did start teaching friends and family. And then I found a 50-hour rocket training that was happening in London. And again, almost on a whim, I signed up for that. And I rocked up to this rocket training that was populated by 20 or so highly qualified and highly accomplished Ashtangis and teachers. and I was very much the runt of the litter. I'd been practicing daily for less than a year, I think, at that point, and I knew almost nothing about Ashtanga. So I'd sort of come to rock it through Vinyasa and knew very little about the Ashtanga tradition. Rocket very much builds on Ashtanga. But I learned so much in that week about hands-on assists and teaching and the rocket sequences. I would very much like to go back. And that was with Leon London, by the way. Again, highly recommend as a teacher. And while I would not call myself a qualified rocket teacher, I've only done half the qualification. There's another 50 hours that I need to do. But it's given me a really solid background in teaching that style, given me a lot of confidence. So I decided that I needed to go and be a student of Ashtanga. So I signed up to start going 3 times a week to Iridess in Horsham with my amazing teacher Irina, who is just so talented and so knowledgeable and makes me feel very often as though I know absolutely nothing, which is fantastic. I went with a completely empty head and decided to just forget everything that I'd ever learned so far along my journey and just go as an empty vessel and learn what she has to teach me. And I've been going there for nearly a year now. My practice has improved immeasurably. My knowledge along the way has improved massively, and I have been teaching now as my main job since March this year. I teach yoga 3 times a week and Pilates twice a week. I've also done a level 3 Pilates qualification along the way. This has ended up being a real potted history, my yoga journey, which isn't really what I was trying to tell you. But my point is that yoga changed my life completely, and it led into Pilates and it led into other kinds of fitness. So a fellow student at Iridess who suggested that I join Horsham Fitness, and I've been going there for 3 months now, and that has absolutely changed the game as far as my strength and fitness levels go. And then that directly led on to running, and I've now been running for a few months. So everything has snowballed from there. But my point about yoga is that it was not just the physical exercise that changed my life. And it's easy to focus in on that because that's where you see the most changes and you feel the most changes in your body. But actually it is the philosophy side of it. It's the breath work, it's the meditation, it's the learning to look at the world through a different lens. We can talk about Patanjali's 4 keys, which we were talking about in yoga last night, which is something that sounds quite simple to embody, obviously isn't, but absolutely does change the game. And it's quite interesting. It's actually almost how I've always tried to live my life without really understanding the whys or the philosophy behind it. Briefly, the 4 keys are trying to live with kindness, compassion, delight or joy. This is one that is a big one for me. Being able to delight in other people's successes and being able to find an almost childlike joy in everything that happens. It ties into having a solid gratitude practice and all of that. And equanimity, which is almost like being dispassionate about things. So being able to look at a situation and not make a judgment value on it, not think this person here is a bad person, this person here is a good person. People are just people. As somebody with ADHD, and I've also been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder or emotionally unstable personality disorder, one of the key factors of that can be very black and white thinking, putting things into boxes of bad or good. And so this idea of equanimity and seeing things more dispassionately is really important to me. So kindness for other people, compassion for other people, a sense of wonder and joy and delight at the world, and equanimity. These 4 principles, if we can embody these in our life, then that is the key to actual, real, true happiness. One method of happiness would be to fill your days with things that make you happy. That's one way to be happy. It's not realistic, it's not sustainable, it's very difficult. Another way to be happy is just to find happiness in the everyday. So you don't need to physically go out and do things to make you happy if you can find happiness in the everyday, the things that are around you. And this has been, almost without me knowing it, a really important part of my mental health recovery. I'm naturally quite a happy person, and I think this is why I then suffer these horrendous bouts of depression, because when I'm not happy, when I'm not able to find that kind of natural happiness, everything kind of falls apart for me. And I have talked about this before, but it's weird almost and random that one of the key factors in my hauling myself out of my worst ever bout of depression. I had a CPN, a community psychiatric nurse, who would visit me almost every day, and she just basically said to me when I was mooching around, feeling really sorry for myself, telling her that I was just a useless person and an absolute drain on my family and a drain on society and blah, blah, blah. And she said, tell me what you've done today. And I said, I haven't done anything today. All I've done is nothing. And she said, well, where's your son? I said, well, he's at school. How did he get to school? Well, I took him to school. There we go. You took your son to school, dressed, ready for school with his stuff. Well, yeah, because that's just a normal thing. Of course I did that. She said, well, there we go. You've completely discounted that out of your things that you've done today. And that's a big thing that you've done. It's all about perspective. And that one almost innocuous comment kick-started my gratitude practice and started making me look at the things that I had done in my day or my life to be grateful, to be happy for, instead of focusing on what I hadn't done, what I hadn't got. And you can kind of embody that wider into your whole life. So it can be really easy to fall into the trap of, when I have XYZ, I'll be happy. When I can do XYZ, I'll be happy. We all do it. Everybody does that. And it's much healthier and much better for your general state of well-being to be able to go, when I can do XYZ, that would be great, but I'm already happy, or I'm already a complete person. I'm already a full person. Doing things because of the joy that they will bring is different to doing them because we think this is the thing that's going to make us happy. So we all want things in life, and having ambition and wanting things is absolutely great. But the danger is to our mental health is when we hang our happiness on these things happening. If you can wake up every morning and go, today is a great day. I have a physical body that works for me. I have a house that I live in. I have food in the cupboards. I have the outdoors to go and visit. Looking at all these things that you do have, instead of waking up every morning and going, oh, I don't like where I live, or I feel tired and my body hurt, or I don't like anything that I've got in the fridge, or I don't have enough money. All these kind of negative cycle thoughts, if we can avoid those and train our brain to look for the positive things instead, it sounds really wanky. And when you're depressed, it can be really hard to put that into action. But genuinely, that is the thing that cured my depression, and that is the thing that I hold on to now and try and embody every day in order to vastly improve my quality of life. So I've talked myself around in a big circle. I might put this on YouTube as a full kind of rant, so you can it's not a rant, a full kind of talk, so you can hear how the cogs turn in my brain. Yoga gave me the words and the philosophy and the tools to understand these kind of swirling around feelings that I had around trying to be kind and compassionate and holding people in positive regard, and equanimity as well. So holding people in no regard, people are just people. And the idea of embodying a childlike joy and wonder and gratitude. I absolutely urge anybody who is at all interested in this kind of thing to have a read of the Yoga Sutras, to start to dig into yoga philosophy, even Buddhist philosophy. It's not woo, it's not airy-fairy. It says a lot about the nature of human nature. And also read a lot of Terry Pratchett, because a lot of what he has to say is along very similar lines. But yeah, this is how yoga changed my life. Sobriety almost just became the most obvious thing to do, second nature thing to do, because once I started digging into the idea of physical activity for a start, I didn't want to drink to the levels that I was drinking while trying to create a healthy body, but also a healthy mind. It just became a bit of a no-brainer to not drink. There's no way I'd ever drink again now, because it just but yeah, yoga has the power, the potential to change your life in just so many millions of ways that go very far beyond the physical practice. Right, 20 minutes that was. I'm going to try and edit this down. Thank you for listening. This is the kind of stuff that I teach in my classes a little bit. I kind of weave it through. I'm going to try and talk about this a little bit more online, because I do think it's really important. Hope you have a wonderful day today. Let me know your thoughts.